Hold on, that isn't a super sport. Heavy Chevy? What the is that? 1972 Chevrolet Chevelle.
Heavy Chevy.
This was a special package aimed at young buyers who didn't want to get bent over by insurance companies, but still wanted some decent performance.
He got a deal for the mouth, ain't he?
That's the truth.
The Heavy Chevy was coded as a base Chevelle, so it didn't have very many creature comforts, but it did avoid the Super Sport title and the associated higher insurance costs, so you can suck it long and hard, insurance companies. And with that package, you got a few goodies. It all started with a domed hood with hood pins. You also got a blacked out grille in addition to those sweet Heavy Chevy graphics. There was also a set of 14x6 rally wheels without trim rings, and then in 1972, there was only a bench seat available. There were also 4 different engine options, all being V8s. The base 307 was rated a whopping 130 net horsepower. Then there were 2 different 350s, rated 165 and 175 net horsepower. And then the top dog 400, which was actually a 402 cubic inch big block. You may have noticed that you could not get the 454 in the Heavy Chevy, and that's because it was reserved only for the Super Sport package. So hopefully you had money coming out the wazoo if that's what you were looking for. And which engine do you think our featured car has? Oh yeah, that's the 402 big block, putting out 300 gross horsepower at 4,400 RPM, which is about 240 net horsepower, and 400 gross pound-feet of torque at 3,200 RPM, which is about 345 net. And you gotta admit, that's pretty impressive considering the compression ratio that year was only
8.5 to 1.
Overall, the 402 is a great engine, but it does have 2-bolt mains and an iron crank, so just make sure you don't rev it too much, or you know what's gonna happen. And I'll just admit it, I'm a huge fan of the Heavy Chevy. It's everything that a muscle car should be. The perfect package, if you will. I love the size of this package. I love how that package feels. And gosh darn it, I just want to climb up inside that package and take it for a ride. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. All this talk about packages is reminding me of a giant snake. A 1970 Ford Torino Super Cobra Jet to be exact. So let me just whip out some information for you guys.
Just take those old records on the shelf.
The 1970 Torino Cobra had 3 different engines available. All were 429s, but all were unique. The base Cobra had a Thunderjet 429 rated 360 horsepower, which isn't too shabby, but for only another $164, you could upgrade to the Cobra Jet, which had a higher compression ratio and larger valves, and it was rated 370 horsepower. And now here's the confusing part. If you wanted the Super Cobra Jet, you first had to get the regular Cobra Jet engine package, and then you also had to get the drag pack option. That would automatically upgrade you to the
Super Cobra Jet.
And within the drag pack, you had 2 more options. You could get a set of 391 gears, that was $155, or 430 gears, and that was $207. But don't let the drag pack fool you. It wasn't only about the rear gears. You got a completely different engine with that package. It featured 4-bolt mains, a compression ratio of 11.3 to 1, forged aluminum pistons, an aggressive solid lifter cam, a Holley 4150 rated 780 CFM, header-style exhaust manifolds, and unique cylinder heads. So if you remember, the Cobra Jet was rated 370 horsepower, and now we have all of those upgrades. So what do you think the Super Cobra Jet is rated? Well, I'm glad that you asked, because this thing was rated 375 horsepower. Something tells me that Ford underrated this engine, and they were being just a little bit tricky.
Summertime is tricky. Tricky.
Specifically, it was rated 375 horsepower at 5,400 RPM and 450 pound-feet of torque at 3,400 RPM. And if that doesn't make your pants tingle, I don't know what will. I mean, this car was even recently featured on Family Feud.
100 people surveyed named something that gives you an erection.
Gotta go with Torino Super Cobra Jet, Steve. You know what I mean.
Show me that Cobra Jet!
Like our featured car, the Super Cobra Jet came with a top-loader 4-speed manual transmission, or for another $39 you could upgrade to the C6 automatic. The Heavy Chevy actually came with a 3-speed manual as standard, but you could upgrade to a 4-speed or the Turbo 400 3-speed automatic with the big block, while the small block actually came with a Turbo 350. But come on, this is America, and here we like our beers watery and devoid of flavor, we like our football a weird oblong shape instead of that other type, and we like our blocks big. Do you remember when I said the Super Cobra Jet had 2 rear gear options, either 391 or 430? Well, which one do you think this car has?
Oh yeah, you know it's the Detroit locker with 430 gears!
Meanwhile, the Chevelle has a set of, I don't know. From the factory, it was 273 gears. I believe the owner said he'd swapped in a set of 410 gears, but I'm not entirely sure. So my guy Troy, if you're watching this video, leave a comment to verify. Otherwise, the people might riot and string me up by my ding-dong, and I really don't want to deal with that right now. Or do I? So let's recap everything thus far. The Torino has more horsepower, more torque, and more aggressive gearing, but where the Ford struggles is in the weight department. And that's because the Torino's curb weight is 3,939 pounds. Good thing it's got that Super Cobra Jet. Meanwhile, the Chevelle's curb weight is 3,699 pounds, and that's not terribly light, but it's still good for a 240-pound advantage over the Torino. Neither of these cars are all that common. In the 2-year run of the Heavy Chevy, 1971 and 1972, they only made 16,235 in total, which is pretty rare, but not even close to as rare as the 70 Ford Torino Super Cobra Jet with a 4-speed. You might want to sit down for this, but they only made 125 of those in total. In all honesty, this car did not start life as a Super Cobra Jet, but it is a real deal Cobra Jet car that was later converted, and that makes it one of only 465, and don't worry purists, the owner still has all of the original parts. I just figured I'd better say that before you guys soil yourselves. Motor Trend magazine tested a Torino Super Cobra Jet in February of 1970. With a set of 391 gears and a 4-speed manual transmission, it ran the quarter mile in 13.99 seconds at 101 miles per hour. And they must have really liked that car because in 1970, Motor Trend actually named the Ford Torino the Car of the Year. There's really no original testing information available for the 72 Heavy Chevy, but these cars were known for breaking into the 14s. Keep in mind, that's with some really conservative rear gears, so with a few simple changes, these things definitely have a lot more potential. I would like to direct you back to the interior of the Chevelle. Do you notice anything that's missing? Maybe something in this area? Yes, this is a factory radio delete car. And do you notice anything else that happens to be missing? Oh yeah, it also doesn't have a heater. Come on, what muscle car guy doesn't love a factory radio and heater delete car? Let's talk about prices real quick for these two cars. The Chevelle V8 Coupe started out at $2,807, and here's the breakdown for the remaining expenses for this Heavy Chevy. And that gives you a grand total of $3,391, and adjusting for inflation, that's around $21,115 today. And if you're curious, a similarly equipped Super Sport Chevelle was going to be about $3,700, give or take $300 more than the Heavy Chevy. The Torino was also a great deal. The base Cobra started out at $3,270. The Cobra Jet package was another $164, Ram Air was $229, and then of course the drag pack was $207. That gives you a grand total of $3,870, and adjusting for inflation, that's $25,960 today. Drag race? More like super financial savings race.
You suck, you jackass.
Before we check out that drag race, just a little bit more information. Temperature was 92 degrees, humidity 85%, and elevation 754 feet. All right, let's see what happens.
402.
Same thing, 1397.
Even though the Torino ran a slightly slower 13.97 second quarter mile at 102.72 miles per hour, he actually cut a better light and crossed the finish line first, taking the win. Meanwhile, the Chevelle ran a very impressive 13.82 second quarter mile at 99.38 miles per hour, so let's see if that Heavy Chevy can redeem itself in round 2.
It's a 1382. Troy Teach Decent, 72 Chevelle, pairing up with Chris Jones in our only Ford. And Troy therefore the win. He'll be back around shortly.
And in the second round, the Chevelle says, "Not this time, my friend," and runs a 13.77 second quarter mile at 100.31 miles per hour, compared to the Torino's 14.13 seconds at 103.14 miles per hour. And with things tied up, it looks like we've got ourselves a showdown. So let's see what happens in round 3.
Corvette. So that breaks that tie 2-1 for.
And this time it's the Chevelle that runs a slightly slower 13.97 second quarter mile at 99.01 miles per hour, but he did cross the finish line first, taking home the win and the best of 3 crown compared to the Torino's 13.95 seconds at 102.60 miles per hour. Let's check out all 3 races one more time without any interruptions.
Troy Teach Decent from Montague, Michigan, 72 Chevelle, 402. Here's how the wind gonna light, but I don't think he holds on for the win. Same thing, 1397 beats a 1382. And Troy therefore the win. He'll be back around shortly in his Corvette. Troy's about 900 quicker, and the win. So that breaks that tie 2-1 for Troy.
Thanks for watching, I really appreciate it. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. And come on, find us on Instagram, guy. What are you doing with your life?